Once you understand what reality is, once you understand what the body actually is in its base form, a waveform information field, think Wi-Fi, then the reasons for things happening in the world of the seen take on a completely different look, different reason for why it's happening. Who controls information overwhelmingly controls mass perception. They don't want us to know the true nature of reality, because if we did, then the pennies would start to drop on why human society is as it is. You don't need a scientific mind to understand the world. You do not need an academic mind to understand the world. You need an open one. Just look at the body. The body is a waveform field, and it's vibrating, oscillating, right? Now, when that oscillation stops, that's what we call death of the body. But there is an optimum oscillation which expresses itself in the hologram as health, psychological health, quote, physical health. Anything that affects that oscillation in terms of its optimum state is going to have in the hologram, of which it is the information base. And if we are going to turn this world around, people have to take their perceptions back. It's very clear that humanity is being manipulated generation after generation into what I might call a perceptual bubble. A problem. It's going to be a psychological problem, or it's going to be a quote, physical problem. And we are now being bombarded with technological frequencies, 5G is the new one, that are bombarding our oscillating waveform field with frequencies that are creating increasing disturbances within it. And therefore, we are seeing the, quote, physical health consequences of this electromagnetic soup that we're now living in, that is getting more dense all the time. Perceptions are everything. What you perceive is how you behave. It's everything. It's your perceptions, what I would say programming, because if you look at a human life, you come out of the womb and you hit parental programming, which is not through malevolence, but the parents have been through what you're about to go through and bought it, so they pass that programming on to you. You hit the education system at an ever earlier age, and now throughout your formative years, you've got representatives of the state who are giving you the state's version of everything all the way through your formative years. The media is pounding the same version of reality at you. Science is telling you that, and then you've got peer pressure around you, and of course the brain communicates and processes information through electricity and frequency. It communicates with the body electrically, and any frequencies that disturb the harmony of that processing are going to have bodily health and psychological effects. That's been through the same programming of perception and accepted it and believed it, and they give you a hard time if you have a different perception to what they've been programmed to have. And basically, we've got a situation where from cradle to grave, a human life is a perceptual download, and this consensus waves away any idea that reality, as mainstream science tells us, ludicrous, that there can be any manipulation of human society by a non-human force we can't see. Now, 5G is a weapon. It's used by law enforcement in America and the military to scatter crowds. They fire a frequency from these big trucks at a crowd they want to disperse. And you see, the body is an antenna. DNA is an antenna. The skin is an antenna. We are antennas, that's what we are. We are interacting, receiving and transmitting frequencies of information all the time. And all the perceptual download holds us in this narrow band of sense of the possible. And it puts people in bubbles. People are breaking out of them now more and more, but most people are still in this bubble. And this bubble has a reflex action response to anything that is not in the perceptual range of the bubble. So when people like me come out and say, blah, 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 we're being manipulated by a non-human force, the bubble reaction is, you're mad. This is how the perception thing works. And what I'm saying is, when you study it deeply, these perceptual bubbles constantly are underpinned by what we call the education system, by the media and all that stuff. And journalists, where do they report the world from and observe the world from? The bubble, because they've been through the same perceptual download as everyone else. It's the blind leading the bloody blind, really. And what happens with this 5G range crowd scattering technology is the skin picks it up and decodes it as the skin feeling as if it's on fire. And people run so that they get out of the frequency range so their skin doesn't seem as if it's burning. We have this situation where you've got this perceptual tram lines, and it's been done systematically. They don't want us to know the true nature of reality. They don't want us to know the true nature of history, because if we did, then the pennies would start to drop on why human society is as it is, and how mysteries can be explained with perfect, simple logic once you realize what reality is as opposed to what we're told it is. This is the stuff, this is the frequency range they want to smack out. Okay, it won't have that effect, all the time, of course not. But in less than that range of power, it will have enormous potential impact on people's health and on their psychological state. Because it doesn't go through dense objects very well, 5G, it means they want antenna boxes all the way down the streets pumping this out. And this is the other point. And if we are going to turn this world around, people have to take their perceptions back and realize that the world they think they've been experiencing all their lives ain't the one they're actually experiencing. And once you realize how this reality really works, then you start to understand that this cabal, it knows that the goal, the end game, is what they call the smart grid. This is why all this technology, almost everything comes out now, not even just technology, but ways of doing things, is called smart. And whether it's a way of doing something, or whether it's technology, if it's got smart in it, they're all connected to this smart grid. And this smart grid is going to be, it's unfolding all the time, based on the internet. This is what the Internet of Things is all about. We're connecting all these technologies, everything basically, to the internet. This is all part of this smart grid. It knows how we decode reality. It knows that we decode reality and experience reality as a result of the perceptions we have. Thus, not only can they get people to believe things, but through the beliefs they get people to accept.